Hello and welcome to Alex's Model Kits. It's been a while since I had an update, sorry about that. There's been a couple of fairly good reasons for that, which is, well, just one good reason really. I haven't done very much since the last update. On my last update I was talking about finishing off the Airfix 1/44 scale Saturn V, and the next plan was to start a kit which was going to be the launch tower for that Saturn V. And that kit is different from everything else I've done so far because it's a cardboard kit. So it's quite an unusual kit for me to try, and it's not one I'm very familiar with. And part of the problem I've had with working on that is just down to time. I've not had much time here at the workbench. I've been away on holiday, and then when I got back from holiday there was quite a big project at work, which meant long hours and not much time sitting here. And had I been working on a normal styrene kit, I probably could have tinkered around for half-an-hour sessions here and there and made gradual process. That's pretty much my standard way of doing things, gradual progress. But with this, because it was so different, I needed to think about it a bit more, particularly as I'm not just making the kit, I'm actually having to reinforce it as well, because as it stands by itself it could never support the weight of the Saturn V. So I'm having to try to find a way of producing something within the launch pad itself that supports the weight of the rocket. The instructions recommend corrugated cardboard. I'm not convinced corrugated cardboard is the right solution for me. I think partially because the only card I can find is either very thin, which is no good, and doesn't have that strength that we want, or it's too thick and I can't cut it well, and it's not corrugated either. So I'm looking at probably going to slightly more of my comfort zone to a degree. I'm looking at things like styrene that I can use to just create a box within the pad itself to get that reinforcement done. I did ponder looking at things with balsa wood, because balsa wood does have that stiffness that you need for the platform, and I got some balsa wood sheets, but unfortunately I can't find sheets that are big enough to cover what I need, and that's part of the problem. The actual launch pad itself comes in two sheets. So we have this sheet here, and this hole here is where the rocket sits above, and then we have this extra bit of sheet here which then kind of fits over just like that to come up with the actual size itself, the actual main launch pad. And then from there the tower then comes off from that part of it. Now this combined, when you actually get the two put together, is bigger than an A4 size, and that started to generate some problems for me. And then we have, before I go into that too much, we've then got the sides that run down the length and width of the pad itself to give it a bit of a rectangular structure, and it's that I'm trying to get reinforced and working so that it can then support the rocket afterwards. So I had tried a few things. As I said, I tried thinking about balsa wood sheets, but I couldn't find anything big enough to work with that. I was also slightly concerned about there is a sort of fragility about balsa wood, which the last thing I wanted to do was to get it all sorted out, and then somehow there's an accident and someone drops something and it just snaps within inside, and I can't fix it. So I then started thinking about, well, maybe styrene sheets would do instead, and I started looking at various styrene sheets. But as I say, most of the styrene sheets I've got are A4 sized, and I didn't really want to have this sort of reinforced with the styrene under here, and then have maybe a slight join that became visible over time on the actual platform itself. So after a while I found myself a supplier that can provide A3 sized sheets, and what I've done recently is I have cut myself down to size. This is now matching, hopefully this is matching the size of the two pieces of paper put together. which is another slight, it's another complication, because I'm not just cutting to one, I can't just measure one thing and then cut it. I'm having to try and measure the two and make sure that they're straight and make sure that they're square, and I haven't really got the tools for that. So it's been a bit of trial and error to try and get to where I am, but I think this is now what I want. I'm going to cut a second piece the same size, so it can form a base, and then, as you can see, this is 1/2 mil. This still flexes quite a lot, but the idea will be, once I have this cut to the right size, obviously a square will get cut out in the centre. Once I have it cut to the right size, I'll then look at reinforcing that either with these little balsa wood squares, or maybe just with some styrene, or a combination of the two. So there's been a lot of thought been put into this. Pretty much, I mean, it's pretty much standard for me, isn't it? I tend to spend more time thinking about how I'm going to do things, actually getting it done. But that is, for me, that's part of the enjoyment of the hobby. It's about that planning and that thinking about how best to get things done. The other thing I need to do is for this hole here, in that centre, there is a wall, an internal wall, which comes up, and it's made up of these two pieces here, which when joined together will form the square, and these triangular sections jut out, and the rocket actually rests on those triangular sections, and so I want to reinforce those again with these balsa wood things, because otherwise they will sag over time. So not much in terms of results. You can't see much for what I've done, and like I said, in all fairness, I haven't done that much because I've been busy doing sort of other things, but I'm starting to think that I have a clear plan as to how I'm going to do this, and so that for me is good news. I'm not going to get this done in one go. I've realized, looking at the instructions, and let me just show you the instructions. So this is a printout of the instructions. So we've got, I think it ends up as being something like 86 pages, 76 pages of A4, some of which is just waffle. Actually, it doesn't give you page numbers, but yeah, it's fairly comprehensive, and there's quite a lot to do. It's quite a detailed kit. Looking at it, they even provide, looking at the instructions, they even provide CCTV boxes that you can mount on the tower that would be there during the launch. So I'm looking forward to making it, but I don't think I'm going to get this done in one go, because there's a lot going on, particularly with the tower. There are 3 fairly wide decks at the base of the tower, and then as the tower rises there are, I think, 14 more decks, and each of those decks need triangular struts and reinforcement and all kinds of stuff going on, and I definitely don't think I'm going to get this done in one go. I think over time I already start to feel like I've bogged down and lost a bit of that spark that you want when you're doing a kit, just by the amount of time spent thinking about it and planning it and trying something and looking for resources and then thinking of something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into sort of sections that I think are manageable. So I'm going to do the base first, get the base done and get it to the point where I'm happy with it, and then I'm going to put the whole thing away, get out a styrene kit, do a styrene kit, and then when I'm feeling ready for it, I'll then come back and do some more, and I'll set myself a target and a goal, probably the first 3 wider platforms, and then do that, put it away again, and just gradually do it over time. So this is not going to be a quick fix, a quick kit for me, which, when you consider how long my kits take generally, this is, you know, probably we'll look at decades, but it's going to get done over time. So that's it. That's really why there hasn't been very much in terms of an update, because there's just been so little to talk about. So that's pretty much where we stand. I have had, interestingly, I have had a couple of emails and letters come in with a few questions, and I'll just thought I might go through those now if I could. So we have Mrs. Trellis writes in to say that dear Bernard of Alex's Model Kits, recently doing some training at work, I noticed that a piece of paper said this page is left blank intentionally. Can you tell me if this page is truly blank or not? Well, Mrs. Trellis, first of all, full marks for getting my name right. And secondly, you're not alone. I've had this problem myself. I have seen documents where it says this page is left blank intentionally, and quite clearly it's not blank. If you have a blank piece of paper and you write on it, then it's no longer blank. So if you write on it this page is left blank intentionally, that clearly can't be the case. It's probably more accurate to say that this page is not left blank intentionally. So I hope that answers your question, Mrs. Trellis. And probably one thing I'd like to add is that if you feel, if your employer feels the need to point out when a page is blank or not, then maybe they might want to consider raising the reviewing the standard of staff they're employing, and maybe raising the bar a little bit. So the next question was Mr. Arthur Goatcabin. Mr. Arthur Goatcabin writes, Dear Bernard of Alex's Model Kits, I've noticed in recent videos you've spoken a lot about the Airfix Avro Vulcan, and I'm interested in your views about the recent Airfix news. Well, Mr. Goatcabin, thank you for your email. I'm not entirely sure it's my channel you've been watching, but it's still an interesting question. For those of you who don't know about the Airfix release, I'll just talk to you very quickly about it. In the UK, there is a modelling exhibition which takes place in November every year, based in Telford. It's the biggest modelling exhibition in the UK. It's well supported and well received and thoroughly enjoyed by a lot of model makers. Although I've never been. A lot of model makers get together, modelling clubs get together. They exhibit what they've done recently, and a lot of manufacturers also attend to talk about their future plans and to demonstrate the latest products. And Airfix in recent years have made a habit of using Telford as the launch pad for their announcement for next year's flagship release. Every year they tend to release a brand new kit, and everyone gets very excited about it. I think last year it was the 1/24 scale Grumman Wildcat. I think it was a Wildcat. And everyone got very excited about that, and rightly so, because looking at the reviews and looking at some people's finished items, it's a great kit. And this year they've released 1/72 scale Avro Vulcan, and that's met quite a lot of response. Some of it's quite mixed. There are a few people out there who are a little bit negative about it. I think their view is, well, Airfix already had a 1/72 scale Vulcan, why do we need another one? But I think it's fair to say that the old Airfix Vulcan, that came out in, I believe, 1982 or 84. It is quite old, and looking at people who make that kit now, they do talk about having to use filler around the wing roots and the engine area to get it to fit properly. And in 1984 or 82, the technology was quite different for making kits. Things have moved on, and Airfix are capable of making better kits now, so why wouldn't they? But I think, again, their view is, well, they've already got one, we could have something different, we could have something brand new and really unique, and we could have maybe a Manchester or something that Airfix has never done before, and it's kind of a waste of a flagship release. But I don't think so. I think actually, in many ways, I think it's almost inevitable that a new Airfix Vulcan would be coming along. And I thought that because they've already released the Victor and the Valiant. In fact, this here is the Valiant. This came out in 2011, I think, and we have the Victor just here, which came out 2016, 15, 16, around about 2015-16, and again, for those who aren't terribly interested in aviation history, the Victor, the Vulcan and the Valiant made up Britain's nuclear deterrent in the early 50s. And these were the weapons, these were the aircraft that would deliver our nuclear weapons were we under attack. So with these new toolings coming in, why would you leave the old Vulcan with the old tooling? It just seems to me to make perfect sense to retool it. So I have been expecting a retooled, brand new tooling of a Vulcan at some point, and I'm really pleased that it's out there, because as you can see, I've got these two. I will undoubtedly get the Vulcan, and then the plan is to paint all three in this striking white finish. I think that's something really amazing, really aesthetically pleasing about that white aircraft, and all three can be done in white, and the plan will be to do all three in white. Quite where I'm going to store them is a different matter, because they are, as you can see from the boxes, pretty large. So I don't know where I'm going to keep them, but I'll deal with that problem some other time. But the plan is I'll get all three and I'll do all three in white. So I'm very, very pleased that Airfix have released a 72nd Vulcan, and I'm looking forward to getting it. And I have to say, like I said, response has been mixed. Some people have been quite negative about it, but I think overwhelmingly the response is generally quite positive. I think a lot of people are like me, and they are looking forward to getting a new Vulcan. And I think probably there's now talk about, I'm seeing on forums, there's talk about why don't Airfix re-release this, because they stopped doing this a little while ago. So I do hope that Airfix will re-release it so that other people can get all three kits as well. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Cabin. It's certainly a pertinent one at the moment, and with that I think I shall leave you all to enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, thanks for watching, and goodbye.